Hi everyone, Nick Shaheen here with MarketFi.com. Create income with option spreads for Benzinga. Recapping the week of ending 228. And what I'm starting with here is a map. I think we owe it to ourselves to find out exactly what's going on with Ukraine. Given that the president just came on TV, things are getting tough there. I mentioned earlier this week, actually all week long, that we need to pay more attention to it and that we're not giving it enough attention as far as country, because if you look at it, it's bigger than Germany, Italy, France, Spain, um, United Kingdom. It's a huge issue, and Putin looks like he's trying to take it for himself. So anyway, it is an important fact that we need to pay attention to, which you need to pay attention. And as a matter of fact, in my daily recap here today, I said the Monday Open is all going to depend on geopolitical developments. This being it, it will determine developments will determine how we open on Monday. Having said that, let's dive straight into it. And what I wanted to go through, recapping today, was Bulls and Bears can claim victories today. I would side with the Bears, given that we let go of a huge lead, green everywhere, minus 3, 4, 5%. I can't remember how much it was on the VIX. And then in just minutes, erased all of it. You can see right here on the ES, and then highlighted best, I think, in the small caps because they were rabbits for me this week. They were lagging today, and also the high flyers, the momentum stocks. This is LinkedIn. It didn't have anything going today, even with when everything was running up. Priceline was perfect indication of run-ups that failed. I notified everybody to get out here, or at least watch it alongs here, and dumped. And then again here on Twitter, you could have seen it and dumped. So basically, if you listen to me here and here, you save yourself about 20 bucks up down to the low. It did recover a little bit at the end, but that was an ugly day for everybody all around. The one that had the least ugly day, in my opinion, was Apple. I saw this one coming as far. I expect as much, I should say. I wasn't Nostradamus. I expect as much when there was an event coming and nothing coming out of the event. So all the upside potential pop was supposed to go away. So all the downside pressure is going to, the upside pressure will give way to the downside because it won't be met with opposition. So I bought some puts, and indeed they were an easy double. I could have held a little longer and had some a little bit more, but I don't like to be greedy. They don't ring bells. Google fared okay until late in the day. It closed lower. I'll talk about it individually a little later. But as far as going to market-wise on Monday, I don't like where we're at right now. We're at all-time highs. But barely so. This is an indecision candle for me at all-time highs, with failing to close at the peak. Fine, we are at all-time highs. It's pretty impressive, but I'd be a little concerned, so I won't be jumping in. There's no doom coming. I'm not foreseeing doom, but I'm just not as excited as I would be on other days. Okay, running into Amazon. Amazon, I've been saying all week that it's in a box. See that box? It's an area of contention. I don't like the shape of this whole period, but the overall shape. But it's an area of contention. If they can defend it and then regain, then I will start going long it again, and I think it's still a darling. This is also an indecision candle right here, followed by one from 2 days ago. So yes, it's at the upper end of my box. It's not a scientific box, but it's an intuition box, and it makes sense in my opinion. But I'm not sold yet. All right, that's Amazon. I like going long it on drawbacks, and I don't see enough of a drawback yet. Jumping around a little bit, sorry about that, but it's kind of a crazy day today. BlackRock, everybody talking financials, not participating. That's an ugly candle. Still trying to break out. I'm not convinced. When somebody tries to break out so many times and they fail, guess what? They tend to get tired and slide down. CRM, boy, last night they reported the reaction was incredible, down, up, and then Benioff, which in my opinion has a black belt in Yakido, term I coined, Came on Mad Money, which usually is good for a few bucks. They could not do anything. Look at that candle, boy! It got hammered today. I think it was down up to 7% or so. And this is the some line I drew from before, so it's a significant line if I expand time from 1 year on out. I don't want to short it. I don't want to go long it. I disagree with Kramer. He likes to buy it on the dip, even on this dip. I think, I usually like to look back to see if there's another candle that looks like this. I couldn't find one particular candle, so what I did is I took the second best thing, which is a combination of candles. These are the closest. Two candles that equate about the same size of this candle. Well, it didn't stop there. It had a little further down. So patience. Again, another instance. I think here's a big no. That wouldn't be it. About the size. This is about the size of the candle we dropped here today. There was further downside. It doesn't always happen, but I see two at least here. Um, I'm tempted to wait. I mean, where's the rush? We're not going to fly to new heights. VMware, probably I will stay out of it. It's trying to poke out to new highs, but I'm not convinced yet. It's failed again today, and that is an ugly looking candle. So I speak of candles all the time. Ralph Lauren and Lululemon, oh boy, I think Lulu got spanked the hardest. Ralph has some wild action, but let's look at Lulu first. Down big today, and that's starting to look a little ugly, and we've seen this before, and I just don't want to jump in now. I like to go long Lulu via credit put spreads usually, but I don't want to catch a falling knife. Let me see what Ralph Lauren looks like today. I took a peek. It's still trying to regain its luster from this huge slide down and this gigantic candle. There's no reason for me to be in it at all. It brings me to the fruit company, Apple. Apple still in contention here. I've been saying all along 505 will scare the sellers away because it's been defended by big guys, including the company itself. So I did see a sweet spot for it this week at 525, and indeed that's exactly where it ended, basically. So, once again, the open interest gives us pretty darn good clues even with an event. Although if we had an event today, I saw a 530 resistance, pretty strong resistance, and I would have yielded that resistance to the fact if we had had a headline, a positive headline like a flying car, but it didn't come out, so the resistance stood even before the slide. So anyway, Apple, I do like it, mid to long term, great company. I love going long it, credit put spreads. Join me at MarketFi, and I can help you get into a nice credit spread in there. Pays my bills all the time. Okay, so we spoke about Google. Speaking of bills, actually, last couple of weeks, last few weeks, as a matter of fact, I've been challenging Google with credit call spreads. I start out with a credit call spread, and then I end up turning it into an iron condor on a weekday, and they both expire out of the money. Last week, I closed it early and booked a nice profit. It was just too tempting not to book it. It was such an easy money. I challenged it at 12.25, and totally survived it because I had a good snugged up 2-to-1 iron condor, so to speak, a credit put spread position to one of the credit call spreads, so I was not worried that much about the upper side being breached, and it wasn't. This week I did exactly the same thing, only at a higher level. So I went to 1240, no, 1242 and a half, 1245. Actually, 1242 and a half, 1247 and a half, so $5 wide iron condor, and the lower end was 1167 and a half, and then $5 lower than that. So in size, I did that, and in addition to it, I was pretty convinced that it wasn't going to break out. I added a March 7th credit call spread, $10 wide at 1150.60, and that was an additional 80 cents or so. I added it on a spike. So the total trade was insane, and I closed everything today. So I paid $300-400, whatever it was, to close the credit call spread expiring next week, even though I was fairly sure it wasn't going to expire in the money next week. So it would have been a winner, but the risk reward wasn't there anymore. I look forward to doing exactly the same thing in Google for next week. I have not deployed anything. This is not a time to do anything major in uncertainty like this. LinkedIn, oh boy, heartbreaker. LinkedIn, where is it? I didn't type it in. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is a Momo stock that did not participate in the run up today. It slid all day long. I believe I have it here. This gives you a picture of how it went all day. All right. So I've been saying in LinkedIn I wanted it around 180, under 180 when he was sliding up here. I said don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it. Okay, I waited a little bit too long and then it ran up insanely. I'm okay missing out on upside. I'm not okay riding downside. So I wanted to buy to 180. If the market stabilized, I'll wait a little bit. I may be courageous enough to do a credit put spread here, but I'm not in a hurry to do anything like that right now, especially if Monday comes along and the geopolitical situation has gotten worse. If the solution comes, or at least clarity comes from the Ukraine-Russia scenario, then I'll start looking at, okay, now I need the financials to participate. Well, if the financials don't participate, then I'm not convinced that the run up is going to continue like 2013. So we will go up a little bit, but not by much. MasterCard was one I was looking at. Still not convinced I need to do anything with it. Still trying to break out, but it hasn't been able to today. Indecision candle. Priceline, I fought it. I'm still fighting it. I'm not going to tell you details about it. Trade is in play. I am short it, and safely so. I need to say that. Two indecision candle here on Priceline, indecision candle, giant candle. This is somewhat of an indecisive candle. And today I tweeted, and if you listen to my tweets, I showed you earlier what you could have saved. That was that little chart right there. So Priceline, I am shorted. I'm not scared. I may be tomorrow or Monday, but I'm not right now. Equinix, I'm going to skip it. Nothing there. Goldman Sachs, again, I want to go along it. I'm just not convinced with the financials yet. And everybody's hanging their hats on the financials. Oh, they're starting to peek their heads. Well, what if they fail again? We're all going downhill. I don't know. Panera. I'll speak about CMG first because today it had a breakout moment and then I think it fizzled into the close. Yeah, that candle looked awesome and then it went back to the zzz of the last whatever months now. I can't do anything with that. It's at stratosphere and I just would have no conviction. Sorry for the speed, folks. I'm trying to cover as many as I can. ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. I used to love to trade it. Now I haven't been able to touch it. Look at that size candle, and it's almost a rickshaw. It's a giant doji, very indecisive candle. What does that tell me? Okay, well, it has a potential breakout. It's higher lows knocking at the same level. Today it poked through that level, but then faded. Why is this an important area? Because of this right here. This is an unfilled territory, partially filled, I should say, but this is it dropped from heaven down to here and it's trying to recover up there. So it's kind of like purgatory right now. So to be a little religious about it. Penalty box, I have a whole bunch in the penalty box. Lulu, CF, and company. I do like to trade those, but not yet. Caterpillar and Cummins are kind of like my gauges as to what the old stock market used to trade. And Caterpillar, I think, is in denial still, but not as much as Cummins. Today's Caterpillar candle is, I think from memory, it was somewhat bearish. Yep, we're starting a downtrend. I won't short it based on that, but I can't go long it up here. Cummins is still in denial. But again, I'm not going to short it. Maybe I'll do some lotto puts like I did today on Apple. I did carry some lotto puts in the morning. Okay, this is it for now. Again, the game plan for next week, I'm going to redo what I did with Google. Iron Condor, well placed, so I can see if I can generate some more income. So far, it's paid the bills and then some. Apple, I may choose to go long it a little bit, and via well-placed credit put spreads, not necessarily weekly, but based on the weekly action. And also, I am short Priceline, but be cautious with that because that runs $40 a day for absolutely no reason. It did it almost twice this week. Actually, it did do it twice this week. One in one direction, and the other one was the span in the next day. And today, actually, again, almost. So be careful with that. And I'll sign off right now. Again, Nicholas Shaheen with Create Income with Option Spreads on MarketFi.com for Benzinga. Thank you.